Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the head of state presides over the 17th session of the Council of Ministers. For the international scene, talks for the peace process in the DRC continue. Welcome to our newsroom. Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic, Head of Government, took place this Tuesday, November 29, 2022, the 17th sessions of the Council of Ministers. The following texts were examined and approved. Listen to the acting spokesperson of the government.
Sous la présence de son Excellence M. Ismail Omar Guelleh, Président de la République, chef du gouvernement, a eu lieu ce mardi 29 novembre 2022 la 17e séance du Conseil des ministres.
Ministry of Economy and Finance in charge of industry. First question. Draft order adopting the 2023 provisional budget of the Partial Guarantee Fund of Djibouti credits. The estimated budget of the Djibouti Partial Guarantee Fund for the year 2023 is set in revenues and expenses at 81,295,276 Djiboutian francs. The fund started in activation in February 2020 and has already signed partnership agreements with 6 banks. BCMR, Bank of Africa, CAC Bank, Exim Bank, IIB, and IBB, a public financial institution, and the CEPEC of Djibouti. In line with the previous years, the control of operating costs is still in effect for the 2023 fiscal year. Concerning the achievements of the FGPCD, 107 files were proceeded for an amount of 302.2 million Djiboutian francs, carried out with banks for a total amount of 264.0 million Djiboutian francs, and the CEPEC Djibouti for a total amount of 23.1 million Djiboutian francs. During the year 2023, the FGPCD plans to launch 2 products. These are Islamic finance and affordable housing. Ministry of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Breeding, and Pure Resources, issue number 2, draft law on the approval of the 2020 financial accounts of the National Office of Water and Sanitation of Djibouti. ONIA's financial accounts for the 2020 fiscal year are closed at 8,191,686,374 Djiboutian francs. In 2020, ONIA produced 23.1 million m3 of drinking water. This figure is an increase of 9.4% compared to 2019. Only 15.3 million m3 of water was bled due to COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted commercial activities. Revenue from water sales amounted to 5.6 billion Djiboutian francs, or 68.3% of income. In 2020, ONIAD pursued its policy of investing in infrastructure for an amount of 1.286 billion from its own funds and external financing. It managed 107 water production wells and transport networks, pipes, and connections of 1.085 kilometer in order to strengthen its capacities. The office acquired development maintenance equipment in 2020. In addition, work on various development projects, most of which began in previous years, continued in 2020. These investments relate to the construction of the Sweater desalination plant, the rehabilitation and modernization of drinking water and sanitation facilities in the city of Djibouti, as well as the supply of drinking water to the city of Oboh. Third issue, draft order approving the provisional budget of the National Office of Water and Sanitation of Djibouti for the year 2023. The provisional budget of the National Office of Water and Sanitation of Djibouti for the fiscal year 2023 is set at 9.9 billion in income and shows a profit of 27.9 million. The budget forecast was prepared with a view to the related growth of NADO's activities. In 2023, ONIAD expects to produce 28.8 billion m3 of water to meet the needs of the population. The volume of billed water sales is estimated at 16.8 million m3. The daily production of 21,500 m3 of water from the desalination plant is distributed mainly in Balbala at a production cost of 184 Djibouti million francs and a selling price of 74 per cubic meter in 2023 in order to progressively improve the performance of its activities. The office will pursue its recovery objectives, in particular to increase the number of new connections in the city of Djibouti and its surroundings, in new residential areas as well as in the 5 regions, to improve and strengthen the commercial function of the office by taking the necessary steps to obtain billing that corresponds to the real consumption of users, and to take the necessary steps to improve the recovery of unpaid bills from individuals, companies, public administrations, and institutional clients in 2023. ONIAD will continue to carry out its investments program, in particular the Phase 3 Modernization and Rehabilitation Project, the electrification of boreholes in the cross-border project, the construction of a wastewater treatment plant, and the extension and rehabilitation of the sanitation network. For the issue draft decree approving the 2023 provisional budget of Djibouti International Airport, the provisional budget of Djibouti International Airport for the year 2023 is set at 2,618,194,436 Djiboutian francs with a net profit of 26,133,628. The 2023 budget forecasts has been drawn up in the context of increased activity at the airport, in particular the gradual recovery of air traffic. In 2023, the establishment of plans to implement an investment program, namely the construction of a new control tower, the repair of the runway, and final acquisition of a fire truck. This project will allow the airport to meet its missions.
Un coût de production total de 184 millions de francs Djibouti contre un prix de vente de 74 francs le mètre cube. En 2023, afin d'améliorer progressivement les performances de ces activités, l'Office poursuivra les objectifs de redressement, notamment accroître le nombre de branchements neufs dans la ville de Djibouti, ville et ses environs au niveau des nouvelles cités résidentielles, ainsi que dans les 5 régions, améliorer et renforcer le fonctionnement commercial de l'Office en engageant les moyens nécessaires afin d'obtenir une facturation correspondant aux consommations réelles des usagers, engager des actions nécessaires pour un meilleur recouvrement des impayés, tant au niveau des particuliers que des entreprises et des administrations publiques que les clients institutionnels. En 2023, l'ONEAD poursuivra l'exécution de son programme d'investissement, notamment le projet de modernisation et de réhabilitation FADES 3, l'électrification des forages de projets transfrontaliers, la réalisation d'une station d'épuration, l'extension et la réhabilitation du réseau d'assainissement. Ministère des Infrastructures et de l'Équipement. Quatrième question, projet de loi portant adoption de compte financier 2020 de l'aéroport international de Djibouti. Le compte financier de l'aéroport international de Djibouti pour l'exercice 2020 sont arrêtés en produit à 2,872 949 000 francs de Djibouti. Au cours de l'année 2020, les recettes liées aux activités aéroportuaires et aériennes ont fortement baissé par rapport à l'exercice 2019 en raison du Covid. L'aéroport international de Djibouti a enregistré un manque gagné lié au confinement qui s'élève à plus de 250 millions de francs Djibouti uniquement pour les redevances aéronautiques. En 2020, l'aéroport international de Djibouti a commencé à rembourser les premières échéances suite aux investissements réalisés pour l'extension et la rénovation de l'aérogare. La réalisation de ces investissements permettra à l'aéroport d'augmenter ses capacités opérationnelles en vue d'accroître et d'améliorer ses infrastructures.
Draft order approving the 2023 provisional budget of the Djibouti International Airport. Listen once again to the acting spokesperson of the government.
Cinquième question. Projet d'arrêté portant approbation du budget prévisionnel 2023 de l'aéroport international de Djibouti.
Sixth question, draft law on the approval of the financial accounts of the Urban Rehabilitation and Social Housing Agency (URLOS) for the year 2021. Seventh question, draft law on the approval of the financial accounts of the Social Rehabilitation and Social Housing Agency for the fiscal year 2020. The Minister of City, Urbanism and Housing represented to the Council of Ministers the 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021 financial accounts of the Urban Rehabilitation and Social Housing Agency. Indeed, this new agency, invested with the technical missions of the Housing Fund, has the missions to carry out the construction of social housing, to pilot the Zero Slums program of improvement and restructuring of precarious neighborhoods, and to facilitate land regularization. Since its operational implementation from 2018 to 2021, the agency's activities have been marked by the allocation of 1,114 social apartments, 540 at PK 13, 30 F3 apartments, 104 apartments financed by the Kuwait NIP, and the pre-allocation of 448 apartments, the marketing of 11,000 served plots, Proago 2, subdivision 844, FSD subdivision 887, FSD2 subdivision 13, North PK 12 subdivision 156, the reconstruction of 404 burned down housing units in the different districts of the capital with the framework of the reconstruction project of the damaged housing units. As part of the improvement of living and housing conditions under the National Zero Slums program and land regularizations, the agency carried out the following activities: finalization and implementation of the Zero Slums program strategy, finalization of technical and urban studies for the 1010 provision and rehousing zone, which led to the start startup and completion of 48 of served land, finalization of studies for the restructuring and alignment of 10 precarious neighborhoods in the capital, and preparation of tender documents for investment works, completion of priority works on the 1.2-kilometer road in Old Balbala, and the issuance of 2,133 land registration certificates to people who have regularized their property under the Enable Session Program. Ministry of Budget, it issued draft order amending order number 2022-114/PR/MB of 15/9/2022. The draft order concerns the allocation of a plot of land located in the Nagad area with an area of 12 hectares. This plot of land is intended for the realization of a project of construction of a hospital of 500 beds named Muhammad bin Salman. Ninth question, draft order concerning the allocation of a parcel of land for the benefit of the Secretariat of State in charge of sports. The project of degree has for object the allocation of a parcel of land of a surface of 6.5 hectares situated in the zone of Nagat for the benefit of the Secretary of State in charge of sports. This plot of land is intended for the realization of a football stadium. Communication. The Ministry of Youth and Culture reported on her participation in the summit of the Francophone, whose theme was Women and Youth, Priority Targets for the Francophonie, held from 18 to 22 November 2022 in Jebra, Tunisia. On the sidelines of the summit, the Ministry of Youth and Culture also participated in the Francophone Youth from November 16 to 20, 2022. This forum aimed to develop joint projects in the fields of media that could contribute to development and solidarity between French-speaking countries.
As part of the launch of the 16 days of activism to combat violence against women, the Ministry of Women and Family, with the support of UNFPA, organized this morning a workshop on governance of the national response to violence based on genders at the People's Palace. This workshop was chaired by the Minister of Women and Family, Madam Usman Aden, and so the participation of the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Justice, Mr. Maki Omar Abdul Qadir, the representative of the UNFPA, the representative of the UNFD, the Director of the Observatory, Madam Shukri Hussein, the Director of Gender, Ms. Yasmin Salem, and the representatives of the international organization and concerted ministries. The Minister of Health, for his part, has said that this workshop is part of the capacity building of women to ensure respect for their rights and their physical and moral integrity. For her part, the Minister of Women and Family, Mona Usman Aden, said that it is a great honor to share this conference on violence and violence against women and girls. We have come together to share this program with you, with all the different things that are concerned, and to work with you and do not ask for anything, as the previous advice does not have to be ruled, and it will cover all the limits of the different transmissions that are available to women and girls. The members of the National Assembly, namely the Honorable Amin Mohammed Al-Jama and the Honorable Harun Hassan Gedi, took part in the 17th annual meeting of the Internet Governance Forum, which is held in Addis Ababa. This year's forum has the overall theme, Resilient Internet for a Shared, Sustainable and Common Future. The forum is initiated by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNICA, and the Ethiopian Ministries of Innovation and Technology, and more than 2,500 participants from around the world, including representatives from government and international organizations, the private sector, parliamentarians, and academics. This forum provides an essential platform to enable discussions on internet governance, including the sustainability, security, stability, and development on the internet. This 17th annual meeting focuses on 5 sub-themes, namely connecting all people, promoting human rights, and avoiding internet fragmentation, protecting data, ensuring accountability and online security, and regulating emerging technology, including artificial intelligence. The work of this forum will continue until December 2. As part of the National Week of Disability, the National Agency for the Disabled Person, in collaboration with the Secretary of State for Sports and the CAC Bank, organized in the afternoons of yesterday, Monday, at the Omnisport Stadium's King Fahad, located in Balbala. Sport programs entitled A Day of Sport for All. After a busy morning, the Director General of the National Agency for Disabled Persons, ENPH, Mr. Douale Saeed Mahmoud, together with the Secretary of State for Sports, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, went in the afternoon of the same day to the Omnisport Stadium, King Fahad, to launch a series of sports activity entirely devoted to people with special needs. The sports competitions of this day are rich in emotions opposed the player and athletes, in majority from associative networks of people with special needs from the capital, in the presence of the President of the Egyptian Federation of Handisport, Mr. Abdulrahman Abdullahi. Douale Saeed Mahmoud expressed and said it is a real pleasure for all of us to preside over and attend this event, which is part of the National Disability Week. It is a day of sport for which we have been organizing every year for 4 years now during the National Week of Disability. It is also an opportunity to see a dream of yesteryear to come true. Since its creation, the NPH has never ceased to double its efforts to concretize the programs and projects initiated by the President of the Republic. The Secretary of State for Sports, His Excellency Hassan Mohammed Kamil, has indicated for his part that this fourth edition of the National Week of Disability, lifting together the prejudices relating to disability, the aim is to demonstrate the skills and abilities of our citizens living with disability. The event closed with the awarding of trophy and other medals to the winners of the different events. As part of the National Week of Disability, the National Agency for the Promotion of People with Disability organized this morning a workshop to popularize the law number 151 of the 18 July 2022, repealing and replacing the provision of law of 2007 of 2017 on the promotion and protection of the rights of people with special needs, chaired by the Director General of the INPH, Douale Saeed Mahmoud. The kick-off ceremony of this workshop was honored by the effective participation of many representatives of the different sectoral ministries, in the presence of the Deputy Permanent Representative of UNDP, Mr. Gael Olivier, animated by the lawyer, Mr. Abdelkader Hassan. The workshop's main objective is to bring to everyone's attention the usefulness of this new law, reinforcing the institutional provisions put in place for the promotion and protection of the rights of the most vulnerable of the society, namely the people living with a disability. Welcoming the initiative, the Deputy Permanent Representative of the UNDP, Mr. Gael Olivier, congratulated the NPH and the Egyptian government for this effort undertaken in favor of people with disability. The General Director of INPH, Douale Saeed Mahmoud, said that the workshop's main objective is to bring to everyone's attention the usefulness of this new law, reinforcing the institutional provisions put in place for the promotion and protection of the rights of the most vulnerable of the society, namely the people living with disability. As part of the National Week of People with Disability, the General Director of the National Agency for People with Disability, Mr. Douali Saeed Mahamoud, the President of the University of Djibouti, Jama' Mohammed Hassan, have proceeded this morning to the signing of a partnership agreement at University of Djibouti located in Balbala. The signing ceremony of the partnership agreement is part of the improvement of living conditions of people with disability and respect for their fundamental rights. This agreement has several objectives, the principle of which is to introduce university teachings of discipline and facilities of science and technology that can improve the conditions of people with disability. This convention will allow to reinforce in order to promote the integrations and the inclusions of the person with the special needs in the socio-economic educational life. A delegation of businessmen from the Republic of Uganda, led by the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Uganda to Ethiopia and Djibouti, Ms. Rebecca Amuga Otengo, visited today, Tuesday, the various port facilities of the country. The tour began with the management company of the Dorale terminal. On site, the Ugandan delegation was welcomed by officials of the terminal management company of Djibouti SGTD, who gave information on transshipment, the capacity and performance of this port, as well as loading and unloading of vessels, the SGTD. Then the Ugandan delegation is led by the Ambassador Rebecca went to the port of Dorale Multipurpose. It was welcomed by the Director General of TMP, Jama' Ibrahim Darar. The delegation was able to visit the quay, the trains, and the enclosures for livestock. During a guided tour in this port, the General Director of the place, Jama' Ibrahim Darar, did not fail to share with the distinguished visitor the business opportunities of his port. They showed particular interests in the export of Ugandan cattle through our port. Thereafter, the Ugandan businessmen made a tour of the new international free zone where they could see the warehouses, hangars, and other parts. At the end of the visit, the Ugandan delegation held a meeting with the advisors of the chairman of the Authority of Port and Free Zone, Mr. Mohammed Aden Waberi alias John. Yesterday, the headquarters of the post hosted a signing ceremony concerning the establishment of the services of the Citizen Service Center. The purpose of this agreement is to describe the conditions of engagement as well as the obligations between the parties concerning the Post Office of Djibouti, the National Agency for State Information System, and the General Directorate of Population and Family. As part of the establishment of the services of Citizen Service Center, this partnership meet the needs and expectations of public administration users. Indeed, the digital level and the local delivery of administrative acts requested by public users are ensuring a current and efficient strategy. To do this, the signatory party will pool their respective prerogatives and the quality services provided to users through simplified beginning of the user citizens will be able to carry out administrative procedures such as the birth certificate and the post offices no longer. For his part, the General Director of the Population and Family said that the beginning of the 2023 users of citizens will be able to carry out administrative procedures such as the birth certificate or the application for a national identity card directly at the counter of the Engela post offices and no longer drafting approval. For his part, the General Director of Post Office of Djibouti said that the signatory parties will pool their respective prerogative and expertise in order to improve the quality of services provided to users through simplified, rapid and local procedures within the Citizen Service Center. The Director of Public Security of the National Police, Colonel Omar Hussein Hassan, officiated today in his cabinet the ceremony of handing over equipment intended for the road security services. This material offered by GXA Amerga Tamini and Pool Insurance is intended for the men of the Road Traffic Brigade. In addition to Colonel Omar Hussein Hassan, the ceremony held at the Central Police Station saw the participation of the Lieutenant Colonel Mirgan Umar Humed, Commander of the Urban Court, and Commander Idris Isman, Commander of the Judicial Delegation Brigade, and Commander of the Road Safety Brigade, Captain Abdurazak Aden Musa. This donation responds to the will of the insurers of the place to support the elements of the road traffic in their sovereign missions, and this for a better return. To this end, the representatives of local insurance companies provided the various road safety services such as accident report, the Central Accident Brigade, and road safety with breath analyzers, printers, and computers, external hard drives, USB keys, vests, and cones intended to regulate traffic on our roads. This equipment offered by local insurer is sure to strengthen the arsenals of the road safety men. The reactivations of this partnership between the National Police and the insurer of the places demonstrate the will of the Director General of the National Police, Colonel Abdurrahman Ali Kahin, to further strengthen the collaboration between the National Police and the insurer of the country. The General Director of the Amerga Insurance, Mohammed Aden, said that on this occasion he thanked the National Police for their collaborations and their daily work to strengthen safety on our roads. For his part, the Director of Public Security, Colonel Omar Hussein, thanked the insurance representatives for their commendable gestures. This donation responded to the will of the insurer of the place to support the elements of the road traffic in their sovereign missions, and this for a better return. Following the death of the late Darar Dirir Gesoda, which occurred this Saturday at the age of 79 in Djibouti, the prefect of Arta, Mohammed Sheikh Hassan, on behalf of the population of Arta and in his own name, sends his most saddened condolence to his family and loved ones, and prays the good God to welcome him in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the international scene, on the occasions of the opening of the new consultation for the peace process in the Democratic Republic of Congo in Kenya, the country's former President Uhuru Kenyatta, facilitator of discussions, mobilized the leader of the East African community. Is this third round of talks, which is taking place in the Kenyan capital Nairobi, was organized with a plan to discuss reforms that will facilitate the disarmament of the M23 rebels group. The President of Congo, Uganda, and Rwanda attended the opening ceremony virtually, although the M23 was not officially a party to talks in Angola. It said it would agree to the ceasefires last week, but he also says that it does not trust the Congolese government to honor the deal and end hostility. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.